Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, rock stars of the Kick-Ass Nation. It is I, Christopher Rausch, back here for another amazing episode of the Raw Unscripted Show, where I help you ditch your excuses and your tolerations in favor of living a kick-ass, unstoppable life on your terms. Thank you guys so much for joining us back here again on the podcast, or of course on the video cast that we do every single Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on TikTok, we're on everything. You guys can always go check it out on rawandunscripted.com, rawandunscripted.com. Go there, check it out. You guys can find the podcast on Spotify and Apple, iTunes, and iHeart, and Amazon, and anywhere you get your podcasts. So if you're new to the show, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We got a special show tonight, and I mean that very sincerely. And I talk about that often, that a show is special, but to me, they're all special. But this one's just going to be a little bit more special because it's something that you guys have asked for in the community over the last year when I put out some feelers to you guys and said, hey, what type of shows do you want me to do? And a couple of you guys came back, including one of my mentors, and said, Chris, you're a coach. You're a mindset coach. You're a life coach. You help people change their perspectives and their fears about the past, present, and the future. You help people get authentic, build authentic self-confidence. You give people tools to be able to live their life in such a way that they can wake up every morning and be excited about who they get to be rather than who they have to pretend to be. So why don't you do more of that on the show? So people have asked me, Chris, coach people live on the episode. And so that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Boys and girls, we're going to be actually having a coaching session here live in front of your ears to give you an idea just how the coaching process with me works. I've been coaching for over 25 years. And I got into coaching because I myself had gone through, we'll say, some ups and downs in my life. I was a 7th grade homeless dropout. I lived in a station wagon with 18 cats and 4 dogs and a mother with very psychological disorders. Through my life, I tried to kill myself twice. Unfortunately, I sucked at it. Dug through dumpsters, did anything I needed to do to survive until ultimately I had to make some pretty tough decisions. And I had to make some pretty tough decisions. I had to make some pretty significant sacrifices. I had to put myself completely and utterly outside of my comfort zone for an extended period of time in order to become the man that I am meant to be. And so I went through a lot of tough shit. I went through a lot of experiences that are contained within my book, which will be out later this year. It's called It's Just You and Me, Kid. It's an autobiography about my life, throughout my life, with my travels with my mother and the various extenuating circumstances that we experienced that would sometimes maybe kill somebody else. And so I am an expert on having people how to redirect their fear, how to get out of their comfort zone, how to shift their perspectives about their past, present, and their future, how to slowly but surely build that self-confidence to be able to take that independent action, take that risk, and be able to truly soar and live in your life as opposed to getting to the end of your life and looking back regrets. And so I got into that because people would come to me and they would start sharing their stories and saying what terrible lives they had. And I would ask them a couple of questions. And inevitably, they would leave my conversation feeling inspired and empowered, and they would go take action. They would come back and say, Chris, from that conversation, oh my God, dude, you inspired me. And I went out and bought a couple of those books that you told me about. And I started applying some of the strategies. And oh my God, this has changed and this has changed and this has changed. I started taking better care of my health. I started feeling better. I started acting better. I started getting rid of some people in my life that were toxic. I started pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. I started getting stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I just want to thank you for talking to me. And I got that repeatedly. And I'm like, I don't know what this gift is, but I think maybe I should become a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a social psychologist, whatever it might be. And then I heard about this thing called a life coach. And I just started doing it out of the goodness of my heart. I started giving away sessions and helping people for 6 weeks at a time. And my only fee to them, this is God's honest truth, was that they would go out and do 3 nice things for somebody else and help make the world a better place. You may resemble that in a movie called Pay It Forward. And if you've never seen the movie Pay It Forward, it's an older movie with Haley Joel Osment. I think he just got arrested for drunk driving now. He's an adult. But Pay It Forward talks about this little kid who goes out there and makes this rippling impact in his life. And so I thought, man, if a little kid could go out there and impact so many adults, how can I use my words and my gifts to do the same thing to make a difference in the world? And that's how I became a coach. And I've been doing it for over 25 years. I do it professionally now. Currently I run a small group coaching program, which is extraordinarily affordable because I want people to get in there. I want people to strive and to become the best version of themselves so they don't have regrets at the end of the day. And so it's my gift to help people open their perspectives and stop seeing themselves as a victim in the situation and instead see themselves as a victor. And tonight's program is going to be a little bit of talking with my guest tonight about his backstory, about his desires. And then simply it's going to be me asking a lot of questions and finding out where it is that he's at and perhaps suggesting a couple of strategies. And then towards the end, I'm going to give him and you some book recommendations. I've got them sitting right here. I usually do things in 5s or 3s. So I'm going to do 5 books that I physically have sitting in front of me that I know I have read all of them multiple times. Make sure you take that. So you don't just read a book and go, oh, I read it and then I'm good. You read a book and then you go back and you study the book and then you go back and then you make exercises and things of what you're going to do. And you start putting the plan down and then you take that plan and you put it in your calendar and then you start taking action on it, whether you feel like it or not. And at the end of the plan, you feel better. There you go. That's the simplistic part of it. So tune in. And I really want you guys to take notes for yourself because a lot of what we're going to be talking with my guest tonight is applicable in your life. So the questions that I ask, I highly recommend that you write them down as well. And then you write out your answers to what those might be. Follow along at home, right? So if you do this and you take these books, I promise you, you read these 5 books, you study these 5 books, you take 3 to 5 strategies from each one of these books and you implement it in your life in the next 6 months, next 12 months, sometimes 6 months, a little adventurous. But can you imagine? Like, open your mind for a minute. Can you imagine 1 year from today? Like, thinking back, put it in your calendar. 1 year ago, I watched this podcast. I listened to this podcast with Christopher Rausch and his guest, and they talked about coaching and they talked about all these different things. And man, I took action and responsibility for my life. I didn't no longer blame anybody else. And I started creating these ripple effects in my life that start paying dividends. And I promise you, it won't be easy. It'll be hard, but it'll be so fucking worth it. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight I'm excited to present my guest. I've had the opportunity to follow him along on social media for quite some time. We've become bros. He's a very, very inspirational fella. I really dig his messages. And I put out the call and said, hey, does anybody want to come on my show and get some free coaching? And Todd raised his hand and said, yeah, man, I dig you, bro. And I want to be on the show. So here we are. We're going to have a conversation. Please welcome Todd Dudat in Raw Unscripted. What's going on, Todd, man? How are you doing, brother?
Oh, fantastic. I'm so happy and blessed to be here, man. This is awesome. This is so cool. I'm going to share this with everybody when we're done.
Awesome. I appreciate you being here, man. I really appreciate you being here. So the first question, what inspired you to hear what I was talking about on my show and put that call out to be coached live on a podcast? What was going through your mind or what caused you to respond?
I think it's something that I would enjoy and be able to use in my life. And, and I've been listening to your show for quite a while too. And there's always something there, whether you have a guest or whether you have an independent show where you're just talking, there's always something to learn. And it's helping shape my life. Like I'm a man of God. So, I use the Bible and I use religious references as well. But I think, as people, we can learn from different sources too, because, you're a down to earth guy. You want to help the world and you're doing a great job. And to be a part of that is awesome. And I just enjoy everything the way that you deliver your message is very, it gets me, right? We can relate to one another. And even with the low self-esteem that you had growing up, hey, I can relate to that because I had that for many years. So growing up.
Awesome, Todd. Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. What have you learned so far? Like, what are some of the big strategies perhaps that you've learned from my conversations here on the podcast?
I think the biggest thing that I've been using is, and again, I pray and I use the Bible references as well for certain scriptures, but there's also, when it comes to fear, You were talking about that on the Crushing Your Goals in 2025 podcast. And there was something you said. I mean, you talk about the SMART goals, right? How to set goals and all that. That's great as well. But to be able to, I think you were using the analogy of two people looking at a big roller coaster. And one person's like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of scary, it's kind of big, it's high, and oh, I don't know about heights and all this. And then the other person's like, you know what? Yeah, it's big, but you know what? It looks like so much fun. Let's try and have fun doing this. And so I've been whenever I get the fear, I do my my prayer, my Bible study, and then I use that where instead of I'm becoming fearful or whatever, I start to think and use excitement. I'm like, you know what? And then another thing that you had said too, that what was a question on one of your shows was, what is the best that can happen? Oh man, that's huge. That is so awesome, man. I've been using that as well, and I'm teaching that to my fiance. And oh man, what is the best thing that can happen, or the best outcome? And then replacing your fear with excitement. Those two things have really, really helped me grow as a person, honestly.
Dude, I love that. I'm glad you caught on to those things because those are so important. And so many people do say, it's scary and I'm afraid. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of making a mistake and I'm afraid of this. And I'm like, and I'll ask you this question. Like when you look back on your life through the challenges and through the low points, don't you think that you learn more through those points and those experiences than you did the easygoing experiences?
Yeah, you do, because and even when you're with somebody, you have a partner in your life, a significant other, anybody can be with you at the top. That's the easy part. But it's a real test. Like to me, it's a test of faith when you're going through really, really hard times, and then instead of blaming outside forces or blaming God, we should be saying, thank you, God, for this test of faith, because we're learning a lot about ourselves, and we're learning a lot about how we can help other people's lives through that hardship. So yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one of the things I think one of the keys to having a successful life is having a bigger reason outside of yourself. So if we're looking at the opportunity of what we can do to pay it forward, like I said before, or I inspire people to think like, how can I share my gifts? Like what are Todd's unique gifts? What are Chris's unique gifts? What are Stephanie's unique gifts? What are Mabel's unique gifts? What are Todd's or Gary's unique gifts, right? And so often we're looking at the things that will make us money and the things that other people want to do. And so what do? We set aside our wants and our beliefs and our desires to do the thing that everybody else wants us to do because why? We want their validation. We want their approval. Where does that come from? That comes from being a kid. If you go back and look at psychology, and I studied psychology for a while because I was very curious, where is it very good? And God's honest truth, Ty, I thought we got screwed up as we become teenagers because I thought, okay, we're not kids anymore. We're not adults. We're kind of in the middle. We got hormones. We're learning about independence. We got a lot of stuff going on in our teenage years. But when I started looking at the details, many child psychologists said we become the people we become generally between 0 or 5 years age.
Mm.
And the reason why that is because we're told so much. We come into this world a blank slate. And so our parents, our guardians, whoever it might be, our grandmother, our mom, our dad, sister, whoever it might be in their life, they're our sole source of input, aside from teachers and your brothers and sisters and friends and all that nature. All of that stuff just gets polluted into it. It's, oh, Todd, you should always respect your teacher and you should do this. And if you're right and you get everything great, I'll give you an allowance and I'll give you this. But if you're wrong, I'll punish you and I'll put you in your room. I'm summarizing, right? So as little kids, we go, okay, so if I get it right, I'm good. And if I get it wrong, then I'm bad. If I get it wrong and I tried, then I'm punished. But if I do good here, but maybe if I don't do anything at all, then I don't have to worry about getting it wrong and getting punished. So maybe I'll play it safe. And that's what kind of in a roundabout way happens to us as kids, right? We're open books as kids. We're adventurous. We're curious. I mean, who doesn't know a kid that hasn't gotten into trouble for being curious about something?
Yeah.
Our sense of adventure, our sense of wonder. I know I used to take shit apart all the time and I could never figure out how to put it back together, but I was so curious about how it worked. And I would take it apart and I would break it. My mom would be pissed. Like, you can't have a radio anymore. You can't have a remote control car anymore. You can't, But then we got stopped, and then my curiosity and everything got diminished because they kind of beat it out of me. Like, stop breaking toys. You shouldn't be curious. Look at the instructions and do it the right way. And so my inner warrior, Chris, kind of became very quiet. We kind of, all right. And then I had ADHD. I had a vision problem. I had a hearing problem. So in school, I did poorly. So I was labeled the loudmouth. I was labeled the funny kid. I was labeled the kid that didn't pay attention. So these teachers didn't have the tools on how to deal with my speciality. And so the way the teachers talked to me and the way the teachers made me feel, come up, Chris, to the front of the room. Well, they know I didn't understand the project, but they want to embarrass me because they think negative reinforcement is going to make me a stronger student. But all it does is makes us embarrassed. And then we never want to get up from the class anymore. So now we don't raise our hand anymore. So all of these childish conditioning things play into us. Being a teenager doesn't hurt or it doesn't help. But then we get into adulthood and then we're like, okay, do I question all those things everybody told me? No, I guess that's just the way I got to do it because that's what I was told to do. And then we go through life, do what everybody tells us to do, and we get to a point, which you might be at, where you're like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what I want anymore. Those people that I thought were important aren't important anymore because they've done bad then. So I was taking advice from people who didn't who were intentionally tried to hurt me or unintentionally didn't know any better. So now I got to figure it out for myself. And that's what we do in these conversations in the coaching world is weekly. We meet and we kind of undo those little bad habits in our brain. And you talked about one, you said, basically I have negative self-talk. So that negative self-talk, when we have that, like, oh, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Oh, I'll never be able to finish it. Oh, why should I even bother trying? All those different limiting self-beliefs keep us safe and stuck. And then generally what we do is we attract other people who are safe and stuck. And then we sit there and we commiserate and we feel bad. And then we blame everybody else and we get our pity party and we ultimately decide that we're a victim. Which I know you're not a victim type. I know you're not a good type.
No.
So talk to me about when you said that you changed your fears into excitement. What has that changed in terms of actions you've been taking since kind of like keying in on
that? Just a bit of a quick backstory. I never, I had to kind of grow up myself. I was lucky and blessed enough to have two grandmothers, one on each side, one great grandmother, one grandmother that helped raise me. So that helped. At the same time, if you look at the generations on both my mom's side, my dad's side, there's never been a man to look up to. I hate to say it. And me and my dad have the best relationship we've ever had. But I've never had a man to look up to. They either were womanizers or they beat their wives or they mistreated other people or they were just awful people. And I think that, and not to say that my dad's awful, but he had to learn a lot of hardship, I think, like he was partially raised in foster homes and then partially raised by my grandmother who was a paranoid schizophrenic. So, when you're looking out the curtains, don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Oh, this can happen. This can happen. And so all this fear. And what I've learned is fear is like you're a prisoner of your own mind. And we just can't allow that. We got to get out of that crap. That's garbage, man. So we gotta be able to. And I feel like I have a breakthrough coming in life soon. Like I'm getting married soon to the woman of my dreams, and
There's always a band. That's beautiful.
so thank you. And then the second thing is financial freedom and independence. I hate working for somebody else, to be honest. I leave at 1 p.m. I get home at 12:30 midnight, and oh man, and I think that's one of my biggest obstacles is just being able to get up in time, getting up early.
You were two jobs or one? Is that one job?
It's just one job, but I have to travel. I have to, sometimes you have to stay late if somebody's late and a lot happens there. And so, yeah, I take, we call it a sky train. You guys call it subway, I guess, but we call it sky train. So we take sky train and bus and all that stuff. And it takes a long time. So
that right there tells me that you have a level of dedication, commitment, and resiliency that most people don't.
No, thank you.
To be able to be able to do that, and I want to throw you flowers because that's important to receive those. That's pretty incredible. Say that again. You leave at when?
I leave about just a couple minutes after 1 p.m. and I get home at 12:30 a.m. midnight.
Wow. So you basically get home at 12:30 a.m. and then you have 3 hours to sleep, and you obviously have to get up back over and do it all.
And then in between that, because my wifey, I call her, my soon-to-be wife, she's overseas, and it's an 8-hour difference. So between 12:30 and like 2 a.m, at some point we call each other and talk for about an hour.
Wow. Jeez. Well, considering you have those stepping stones, I believe that's your leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. And I want to acknowledge you for a second because you said believe, right? And I actually sell these wristbands that say believe. The other side says no excuses. But people ask me, like, when they see them on my arm, they said, why did you put believe? And I said, you know what? And honestly, if they don't know I'll tell a little backstory. And I say, you know what? The reason why I'm not dead or in jail, which were very two likely possibilities when we hit 17 years old. I was doing bad things with bad people. I was drinking. I was doing drugs. I was stealing. I was doing a lot of bad things. So for me to wind up dead or in jail would not be a surprise. But I chose to believe in a weird way that I was being tested. Like, I was just talking to somebody the other day. They were talking about making a game out of life. And I said, I've always made life a game. I said, life has always been my game and my game to win. But I decided that, like, okay, if I'm being tested, what's my opportunity right now? My opportunity is to be tested and prove whoever, right? People right or wrong, God, source, universe, right or wrong. But for me, that's what it really mattered to. It doesn't really matter what other people think. It matters what I think, because if I don't take care of myself, I'm going to die. I'm going to die mentally. I'm going to die spiritually. I'm going to die physically. It may not be overnight, but I'm going to die, and I'm never going to truly live my life. And so with you having that belief and that resiliency to know that everything that's happening in your life is preparing you for what's next, right? That is so important to consider for you and for everybody listening. Everything that has happened in our lives, everything that is happening right now, whether we like it or not, whether it's fun, whether it's challenging, whether it's crushing, whether it's beautiful, everything that has happened and happening right now is preparing us for what's next. Have you seen that in your life? Have you seen where, like, bad things or good things that happened and it prepared you for what was next?
Yeah, I even a while ago, I maybe a few months ago, there was a couple days where I had probably every box you can tick was a tough one. So, not getting along with, my significant other, and then some financial issues. And then there was something else. I think work was stressing me because somebody was not getting along with me at my workplace and purposefully trying to cause, trouble for me by even making things personal and texting my personal number. And so all those things happened in like 1 or 2 days. And I was like, I almost wanted I didn't know whether to cry or put my fist through the wall. And then when I let it all out, and then I was able to, kind of just pray and in silence. And, again, God is testing me, and to see if I'll remain faithful. I think that's one big thing. Because God is number one in my life. And other thing is that, like I said, I've never had a man to look up to in my family. And I think that I can count 3 generations of people that just weren't men on each side that I know of. Might have been 6, I might have been 5, might have been 7, I don't know. So I feel like I've been through like hell and back. Even as a kid, I almost died a couple times. I had a babysitter that would beat the hell out of me as a 4-year-old, and he was 13, and I'd be thrown down flights of stairs, and he'd like tie me up and put scissors to my throat and thought he was going to kill my parents and me. And oh man, that was tough, man. That was like,
Wow.
I was a fairly damaged kid for a while, I think, just mentally. And then
I don't doubt it. I mean, it's amazing to talk to you right now.
But again, I feel like everything, I've been protected in a way. I've always been protected. So things could have maybe been much worse. However, they didn't get to that way because I was protected. And if I'm going to be the greatest dude as of all time and the best father, the best husband, the best, brother, uncle, son, and best friend, and I'm going to impact over 1 billion people in this world. And if I'm going to do all those things, I need to be tested so I can become that person. Because from what I've learned, you're not going to be the same person that you were when you make it big. You're not the same as you were like 2 years before that or a year before that. You're a much different person. So
beautiful. I love what you said, and thank you for sharing that with me. I have so much respect for you, dude, and I mean that. You are a resilient motherfucker. Sorry, I swear. You are resilient, right? To experience those tragedies as a child, to not have the mentorship, to have the love, to have the inclusion, right? To have your two grandmothers, thank God, those two beautiful individuals. But you are at the perfect moment right now, because you are choosing to take that responsibility. You're choosing to take that role, and you're putting yourself out there in a very valuable, right? Some people have told me, like, Chris, I'd love to get coaching with you, and I do private coaching, and obviously I've done free sessions for people, but to do it on the air tells me that you want success and impact more than anything else. Is that accuracy, Bruce?
Oh, amen. Yeah, I don't want, even as a kid, I think we were rich for like a year and a half. So 1 year you got 50 presents under the tree, and then 2 years later it's like, sorry, son, we can only afford underwear and socks this year. I was like,
yeah,
okay. I love you anyway, Mom. Love you anyway, Dad. Right. But so I don't want my kids to ever go through, having to, not have food at lunchtime and in school, and to go, hungry for hours, and, to have to, live on, macaroni and cheese or peanut butter toast for like 1 or 2 weeks. I mean, that sucks, man. People don't always do that by choice, or to have beans and a small can of beans for like 2 weeks. I mean, if I want to do that, I want to choose to do that. I don't want, and yes, I definitely don't want the generations after me. I want to create legacy and for multiple generations where they don't have to worry about money and things like that. And they can concentrate on, being the best person they can be, and love God and love people. So.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, I'm going to give you a question. You may have heard me talk about it before, but I'm going to give you a question that I want you to ask yourself frequently.
Okay.
And the question is, as you're going through these challenges and these exciting moments, which you have determined that you're going to look at things in terms of excitement rather than fear, ask yourself this: what am I supposed to be learning through this? Like, what am I supposed to be learning right now? And this is for everybody out there listening and watching. This is for you. This is huge. When you're in a tough situation, it may be a momentary situation with your kid, and you're frustrated and you're not picking up their toys, and you want to yell it out, and you want to get your point across. I recommend you walk outside the room and go, what am I supposed to be learning right now? What is something that I could potentially do right now that might be just a little bit different, that will change the direction of the course of what's happening right now? And that takes deliberate action for us to stop and to become aware. Let me see if I have it. I don't have that book in this pile, but I have books for days. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is a phenomenal book. It documents a gentleman who was in
Auschwitz, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went through Auschwitz. It was a very, very powerful book. I didn't put it in the 5 that I'm giving you today. But in that book, it talks about the fact that we have the ability to stop and determine whether or not we're going to choose to be a victim, or we're going to choose to be a victor in this situation right now. And so that takes that moment. So for that parent that's about to ridicule the kid, or be like, God damn it, can't you pick up your shit? I've told you thousands of times to pick it up. I'm going to throw your toys away. And I'm raising my right hand as a dad sometimes who gets a little, by the rules. Like, come on, dude, I've asked you to pick up your toys. What's wrong? Why aren't you picking them up? And I'm not a dick about it, but I'm stern so that he kind of takes awareness to it. But there have been times where I've had to walk back out of his room and say, okay, what am I supposed to be learning right now? Maybe the thing I'm learning, Chris, is that yelling at the kid doesn't do it.
No.
Maybe what you should do in this situation is go back in there and say, hey, buddy, can you let me understand why you don't like to put your toys away? Like now I can stop. Now I can shift gears, right? So I encourage people, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, can you stop and say, hey, yeah, this sucks and I'm not happy about it, but what am I supposed to be learning from this? Am I doing the same thing over and over again? Like ask yourself questions.
That's powerful.
And then be honest with ourselves. So I could give questions for days, but one of them is like, what am I supposed to be learning? How am I supposed to be growing? What can I do different? Right? I seem to be approaching the situation the same way. There's a person at work, that person at work. Like, man, I keep trying all these different things and nothing's working. And the guy's an asshole. Okay. Maybe if I just walk up to him and say, hey, bro, can I buy you lunch? Hey, bro, can I buy you a beer? Can we go out afterwards? I don't think we got on the right foot. And I've done that person and coworkers that I didn't get on with. Took them out for a beer. Found out they were the coolest person ever. They were just an asshole at work.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing with my kid. So back to that explanation. I've walked back into my son's room, get on his level, like not the authoritarian child. I get down on his level where we're looking just like this. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I said, daddy wants to understand something. You know, daddy's asked you a lot of times to pick up your room, hasn't he? Yeah, I know. I should do it. I'm like, can you help me understand why you don't do it? Well, and then pause and fucking listen.
Wow, that's powerful.
Okay. I'm thinking he's lazy and he's just, he's into the next thing and he's, da-da-da. And he's like, Dad, I just don't understand, because if I still want to play with him, maybe in a few hours, I don't want to have to get him back out. I mean, if I want to play with him tomorrow, and plus, I mean, he's 8 now. Plus, Dad, it's kind of my room. So, if you don't like the mess, you don't, then I sat there and I stopped and I went, okay, here's the next question. Write this down. Do I want to be right or happy?
Oh, wow.
Oh no, that's a game changer for any relationship, right? Interpersonal relationship, work relationship, with a mechanic, right? So oftentimes we want to prove ourselves right to the mechanic, so we're going to fight with the mechanic. The motherfucker's going to fix our car. We don't want to fight with those people. We want them to think that they're the expert, even if we may have some knowledge of our own. So in that moment, do I want to be right or happy? So when I'm looking at my son, here's a beautiful explanation where he gave to me that makes sense. Like I can ask myself, does this make sense? Does this seem reasonable? Yeah. Okay. What can we do to find a win-win for this? Okay. Here's what it is. I tell you what, buddy, the toys that you have out, you can have out for a couple of days. And then if they're still out after a couple of days and I notice they haven't moved, can you please put them away?
Wow.
Does that seem?
99% of parents probably don't ask those questions.
No.
They should.
No, you want your kid to be empowered. You want anybody. You want your spouse, you want your coworker, you want your customer. You want them to feel that you care. You want them to feel that you understand. But the big thing really is for us to stop and go, hey, what am I doing? And is what I'm doing making sense?
So in structure, with loving kindness.
Right. Or here's another question that we could do in our situations. And I know that you're already doing this, but am I doing the best I can? Because when you think about it, like you, Todd, and everybody that's watching and listening, ask yourself, like when you tell people, Chris, I'm doing the best I can. Sally, I'm doing the best I can. God, I'm doing the best I can. Ask yourself, is that really my best?
Wow.
Right? Is that really my best? Or am I just kind of telling myself that I did my best? And I'll share this with you, Todd, because I believe in coaching as a co-creative. I will tell everybody watching and listening, this is probably not the customary coaching. I do things very co-creatively. So for me, in those situations, it's I just lost my train of thought.
It's right there.
I know. No, I looked at something that I have written on my computer and my brain got changed. What was I just saying? I was talking about
Co-creating.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really about the awareness and the deliberate actions of being able to stop myself and then rewire what it is that I was thinking about and saying, okay, what am I supposed to be learning? But then I sat there and I put my keys on my dresser one day after work, and I sat there and I talked to myself out loud, because I think that my out loud voice is actually the smarter one. God's honest truth, I swear to God. My outside voice would tell me, Chris, shut the fuck up and stop being stupid. My inside voice would go like, so I said out loud, I said, I did the best I could today. I think I had a meeting with my staff. I had to lay off some people. I did something that was really big. And I said, and I was telling myself, I was putting my keys on the thing. I was like, I did the best I could. And then I stopped again. And I said, Chris, was that your best? Or are you just in it? You just trying to give yourself a get out of jail free card? Oh, I did the best I could. Okay, well, I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to eat a donut. I'm going to watch 10 hours of networks. And I sat there and I answered myself, honestly, I'm like, no, that wasn't my best. So then I had to have a serious conversation with myself. Like, why are you telling yourself that you did your best? Is that an excuse? Are you afraid? Do you not want to try harder? So when we think about doing our best, what we can do is sit there and say, okay, currently I'm doing this. What's maybe one thing I can do differently? Or what's one thing that I can add? And I'm gonna have everybody pause for a second, because now there's another book that I want to share with you that I know impacted you. So we're gonna give 6 book recommendations today, and I'm live. I'm just gonna go grab the other book off my shelf. So I'm gonna go.
All right. Awesome.
Okay, we're back. So we're gonna do 6 books today because of what you had said. So my next question to you, Todd, is what do you really want to accomplish? Like, when I put this out there and you said you wanted to talk with me, what is like the big picture of what you want to accomplish, and how can I be of assistance to help you with that?
Well, I think my two most biggest goals are to get married this year, and also to get financially free by the end of the year. Even when I was a kid, maybe 10 years old, I had this epiphany, and I thought, working at a regular job just isn't really something I want to do for the rest of my life. And then my first dream was actually to be an athlete, because I wanted to play football. And I think if a few different decisions were made, I could have actually made the Canadian Football League. I would have been that good. At the same time, I could have gotten really hurt too. So there's always reasons behind things too, right? Some of these guys get bad, concussions and get crippled and this and that. So it could always been worse. But then I thought to myself, okay, second thing is to be able to be, and I've had this since I was 10 years old, where I wanted to be wealthy. And the reason why I want to be wealthy is because I want to leave a lasting impact for my generations. For that, I want to help people. I want to, bring a lot of people to God, because there's so many people suffering in this world that need God so desperately. I mean, society's upside down, and young men don't even know how to be a man anymore. So we need to be able to impact this world in a way that they learn how to become that. And so, I guess anything that could help my drive, help me be persistent, that sort of thing. I think I'm close to a breakthrough. And again, your show's meant a lot to me already. It's done a lot in my life, man. It really has. So I listen to at least 4 or 5 times a week. Religious.
Wow.
And there's always something to take out. And I'm on the Sky Train. Everybody's looking at their, doing TikTok games or whatever. And I got my earphones and I'm plugged in and I'm listening to your stuff. So I want to grow and get better. So, but I have a lot to do. I have a lot of work to do.
And that's good. And I'm glad you're honest with yourself. And thank you again for listening and watching the show. There's 318 episodes to listen to. So not to mention that on my YouTube channel, there's 1,000 videos. Well, I've done short videos, long videos. I did a whole other podcast called The Unfiltered Experience that I did for 2.5 years during COVID. So there's a ton of it. There's no shortage of information. But getting to why you want to do this, I love the fact that it's outside of yourself. Because one of the main components of us achieving our dreams is having a big enough why. So when we have a big enough why, we have a big enough how, right? So all of a sudden, maybe we didn't have a big enough why to get a job or to take care of ourselves, but now we got a new baby coming to the world. And a lot of people in those moments will sit there and say, I'm going to get myself off of drugs. I'm going to get myself off of whatever. I'm going to start eating this. I'm going to start taking better care of myself, because there's a bigger why. And so my thing in life is about leverage. So when you have enough, why? Like, I want to help other people. I want to bring the world together. I want to be remembered for somebody who overcame physical abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse. I want to be the guy that gives the opportunity for young kids to have a mentor. If I want to, so you have all these big things in your life, that becomes the leverage, right? In those tough moments to say, oh my God, I don't want to get up and go to work at 12:30 again. Oh my God, I'm so tired now. I don't want to do this. I'm exhausted and I want to give up. In those moments, that's where we go back to our why and we paint a mental picture in our brain. And I want to really stress this. Your mind doesn't know, your brain doesn't know the difference between real reality and perceived reality. And I'll give everybody an example. This is super, super important. So you've had a bad dream. You're Todd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what happened? Like, give me an example of a bad dream. What happened?
I had one recently. Somebody broke into my apartment and they took a bunch of my pepperoni sticks from my fridge. And they left an empty bag in their fridge. I woke up and I'm like, do I have any pepperoni sticks left?
Right? You felt the energy. You woke up and you felt like, oh my God, I feel like somebody's been in my apartment. Jenny's stolen what's important to me. What am I going to do? But nothing physically happened, right? It's just your brain. Your brain played a movie. Your brain played a movie that your subconscious and your conscious mind went, did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in the same way it works in a bad dream, the same way it works in a positive dream. So I encourage everybody, when you wake up in the morning, to do a couple of things. It's right. It's about starting our day off in our life. But number one is to say what we're grateful for. So I find that when we live in a place of gratitude, and I'm grateful for the bed I'm sleeping in. I'm grateful for the ability to pay my rent. I'm grateful for the fact I'm going to get married. I'm grateful for the fact I got Christmas with us. I'm grateful for the fact that I get to take a bus. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm not on strike. I'm grateful for the job that I have right now that's going to get me to the place that it's going to be able to impact millions of people, right? So we start off with gratitude. And the next thing we do is we create a script or create a movie in our brain. And it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It could be like a minute. Like, I see, for me, this was one of my daily intentions, daily dreams, whereas I would see myself walking out on stage. I would hear AC/DC Highway to Hell. So I would have my eyes closed. I'm waking up and I'd be like, okay, I see myself walking on stage. Highway to Hell's playing. Everybody in the audience is doing this. And they're like, yeah, no, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Raw Unscripted man himself, the No Excuses coach, Christopher Rausch. Everybody used to go like this. Because I used to be like a professional speaker. I don't really do it much anymore. That's another story. But the biggest thing I want to do, I love speaking in front of a crowd. I love it. I love saying stuff. It's like having, I've seen you do it many times in this podcast. I say something, you go,
yeah.
So when you play that movie in your brain enough, it becomes your reality. So like when you wake up in the morning, imagine yourself getting up and having your beautiful wife next to you. Oh my God, what have you might be? Wow, all my hard work and all my sacrifice and all my struggles have got me to this point where now I'm able to mentor at-risk kids. I'm able to do whatever it is that you want to do. Play that movie in your brain. Make it realistic. Don't make it too over the top, but just make it a realistic scene so that your subconscious and your conscious mind start to believe, right? You're basically writing a tape to sit there and say, okay, in those moments where I'm sitting on the train, I'm like, oh, I'm going places. Oh, what am I supposed to be learning right now? I'm supposed to be learning that it's not always going to be easy. And that on the other side of this, when I go get through all this pain and all this sacrifice and all this tragedy, on the other side of this, I'm going to feel fucking confident. I'm going to feel unstoppable. I'm going to feel pride. I'm going to feel a sense of pride with myself because I didn't do and I didn't turn out like everybody else said I was going to. I'm going to be proud of myself because I gave myself the ammunition and the preparation and the dedication and the sacrifice to do these things, right? And again, I always tell people that when you're in those moments of being tested, like you're learning valuable lessons. You're learning valuable nuggets. You're learning what not to do and what to continue doing. So my question to you is, what are your 3 biggest excuses that you think will prevent you or could prevent you or are preventing you from achieving those goals of becoming married and having the financial freedom?
Yeah, I think one would be, being tired.
Okay, so one excuse there is, okay, so being tired, which is
Uh,
understandable, but there's things we could do.
and then, let me see, what else would there be? I'll say fear. Yeah, fear.
Okay.
And third, what could a third be? There'd be not listening to other people.
Oh, that's surprising. So
Yeah.
not listening to other people.
The
So
wrong
talk
like
to me.
naysayers.
Okay. So talk to me about that one. We'll go back. We'll go backwards in the excuses. So talk to me about why that's an excuse. Not listening to other people. Give me some more depth on that.
Okay, so let's say that, for example, if I was at work and I had a coworker and I mentioned something that I'm doing, something I want to do or whatever, and again, I've learned to be able to share some things with some people and not all people, because if you share with the wrong person, they might be like, "Oh, bro, come on, like, why are you doing that? Like, that's just go just try and move up in security. That's good enough. You don't need to do that. Something stupid, right?" So, just basically letting somebody else's, that is limiting themselves to try and limit me. So that would be the third thing.
So let's talk about that for a second. So, and that's understandable. I mean, given your childhood and your upbringing, I can only imagine the negative influence that you must have had in your life. And then now to think like, okay, that could potentially derail me. I always look at it. There's a couple of ways I look at people like that. Number one, I'm like, that's your opinion, but it's my life. And I don't necessarily need to say that out loud, but I just need to have that attitude in my brain, my self-talk. It's like, well, that's your opinion, but this is my life. That's your opinion, that this is my life. Also, we can sit there and look at it. I look at those people as I feel sorry for. And I don't necessarily say it, but for me, it's just about a place of going, okay, you're no better than me. We're both here in this job. We're both here in this life. Unless you're the shit I want to do, I'm not going to listen to your. And that's huge. Like if that person isn't doing, anybody listening, like if somebody's telling you what to do or not to do, and they don't have the life that you want, you say thank you, but no thank you. That's your life. That's your perspective. This is my dream. This is what I'm going to do. And you don't even need to say it to the person. You just need to say it to yourself. Like, thank you, but no thank you. Right? This is perhaps another piece of leverage I need in order to, I do this, so that I'll have that sense of pride to go, you know what? I had a lot of people telling me, I can't even tell you how many people told me not to swear on my podcast. People told me not to take off my suit and tie, not to look like this. Like, Chris, nobody's going to like. I had so many people tell me not to do things, dude. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to rock on. I'm going to be who I need to be. At that point, I let go of the fame and the validation, money on myself. I just want to wake up and be me. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to suck at it. I'm going to do it, baby.
Yeah.
So when I look at those people with a sense of sadness, right? Oh man, I'm so sad for that person. Like they don't have any dreams. Like their only thing is to make others feel bad to make themselves feel good.
Like I had a lady that I was in a restaurant one time. I used to go to Denny's, because we have Denny's here in Canada too. Oh, cool. So me and my buddy would go there like 3-4 times a week for wings or whatever, and we got to know one or two of the waitresses. And one lady really liked us, and at one point she was even sitting beside us, and then she was like sitting on my lap for the heck of it, just to take a picture with her friends. And I'm like, whoa, okay. She really likes me. But she had no direction in life, no goals, and I just thought, and she might be pretty and she might be into some cool stuff, but no, I just can't. I can't be with somebody I can't relate to. It just doesn't work. So it didn't work. When I chose not to make it work.
Exactly. You are, number one, aware. I talk about the AAA prayer. So we got to be aware. We got to accept and take action. So I'm aware that this person isn't like the person for me. I accept that they're not the person for me, right? And now the action I need to take is, oh, who is the person? But more importantly, who do I need to become to attract that person that I love, that I know? What man do I need to become? What person do I need to become in order to attract that person? Because sometimes we're looking for people to save us. We're looking for people to complete our inadequacies or our faults or whatever it is. We don't want to do that. So who do I need to become in order to attract that person is another sub question. But I want to go to excuse number 2, which is fear. What is it that, let me first, before we go to fear, does that help you with not listening to people? What I saw.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, so there was 3 suggestions in there. So what is it that you're afraid of when you think about fear and it not accomplishing your goal? What's the fear of it?
I think now I have more tools to use. Again, I have, scriptures I can read. I have being able to imagine replacing it with excitement. And then I'll talk to myself lately too. I'll be like, well, okay, if I don't do this, what's going to happen? And then again, what's the best thing that could happen if I do this? And it's like, man, I got to do it, man. So, I think in the past it was a fear of success because, change is not easy. Right. And then I would look at things, I'd be, but then I have to change. I have to do this. I have to, become a different person. And, so yeah, I think that was part of it. Like just a fear of success and change and stuff like that.
Do you feel you deserve success?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was created to do great things. Yeah.
Right. And so what do you say to yourself in order to counteract the fear of making mistakes, the fear of success, the fear of whatever else it might be?
So I'll talk to myself, I'll do a prayer, and once again, like what you said, replacing the fear with excitement. And I try and do a little bit of self-talk and say things like, I should be excited to do this because, what's on the other side, right? Maybe it's, like one thing is a lot of people fear is doing cold calls. Yeah. And so that's something that I'm going to do it anyway. Even if I feel a bit of fear, I'm just going to go through it and do it anyway. So I'll push myself to do it because again, on the other side, all the great things are waiting for me. I just have to do a few things to get there.
You got to take that imperfect action. And that's so important, is that imperfect action. We want everything to be perfect. I heard somebody was say it the other day, like, well, they were talking about doing videos online and this, and I said, what's stopping you? I said, well, I haven't set up my room. And I said, what do you need to set up? You just need to put your camera in front of you and press go and start talking. She goes, well, I need to have a nice backdrop, don't I? And I'm like, no, I do my TikTok videos every day in front of my son's school. Well, I just pull my phone and I do my TikToks every day. I get 800 to 1,000 views. It's not a bazillion, but it's more than I had when I started. Yeah, and I just do it right there. I say. So when most people are looking for perfection, when this is done, when that's done, and when that's done, and when that's done, then I'll do. When I have search for this, and no. Just take imperfect action every single day. What's one thing I can do? Here's another. What's the one thing I can do that by which doing will enable me more access to be able to do the next thing? Or what will provide me the biggest sense of relief? Or what will provide me the biggest sense of leverage? Right? It's all really about the questions that we ask ourselves. And that is so super important when we think about the tough times, and also having that leverage and being able to say, okay, what am I supposed to be growing through this? Am I doing the best that I possibly can? And then the last excuse that you had on here, does that help with fear?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
And I've got an incredible book recommendation for you that changed my perspective of fear. So I knew we were going to talk about this, so I picked out one of those books. Again, these books will fucking change anybody's life. Boss, guaranteed. So talk to me about being tired. What's your self-care regimen?
So I think I used to, even in the recent past, and I'm sure there's times I still do where I put too much pressure on myself. Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I go over things. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And then sometimes I'll hear my fiance say, just sometimes you just have to relax a little bit, right? Don't put so much pressure on yourself. You'll stress yourself out, and then you won't feel good, right? So just relax and just try and take your time a little bit. So I've been trying to uh, do different, tools that where I tell myself, you know what, just relax. Everything's gonna work out the way I want it to. Everything is fine, right? And then I relax a little bit, and then I kind of take my mind and shift my focus away from something, and then I come back to it, and then that way I'm a little bit more refreshed, and I'm like, okay, so let's go and do this, right? Whereas before I was like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta, blah, 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 blah. So,
Do you write it down?
you know what? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I'll be honest.
So I'll make a recommendation. I'm a fan, and I just I didn't. This was not scripted, but I have two pads in front of me. As you guys can see, I'm watching the video cast. I have an 8.5 by 11 pad, and then I have a smaller one. I get these from Amazon. I think they're under $10 for a whole pack of them. So I'm a big fan of when I have things jarbled around here,
Mm.
is just take out a piece of paper and just write.
Yeah, I got ready for the.
I saw you taking notes. I have an idea bit. I have small bees. I have small little books that I can carry around upstairs. Idea books. I'm idea generating. I like writing things down rather than using my phone because there's an agreement. Plus, there's also an awareness where we stop and I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so busy and I'm so right as
Psychologically, right?
yeah. You think here, but then when you put it out on paper, you're like, well, there's only 4 things. Well, I'm out on a molehill. I'm working on myself. That's too much here.
Yeah.
So we do the damage up here. We do the negative self-talk, right? Which is something I want to talk about for a minute. That negative self-talk, I always screw up. I never get it right. I'll always be late. I'll never be able to right? Always and never. If we can just eliminate always, never, and try.
I've eliminated try lately. That was a big one for me.
I talk about that. I think there's a podcast where I talk about that quite extensively.
It's
Because you say, I'm gonna try to get better. I'm gonna try to wake up. I'm gonna try to eat better. I'm gonna try to exercise. I'm gonna try to be calmer. That's bullshit. That is such bullshit because people sit there and use the excuse, I'm trying. No, you're not. You're either gonna do it or you're not.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's it. You just have to make a mental commitment to yourself to say, listen, I am going to lose the 50 pounds no matter what. Listen, I'm going to start drinking a gallon of water every single day no matter what. Listen, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I don't give a shit what it is.
Keep your promises to yourself, right?
Right? Yeah, keep your promises to yourself. I talk about that a lot too. Like if you just did that, life would be amazing. But you sit there and just sit there and go, what are the possibilities? What are the possibilities? And I love what you were talking about before, because people ask me, like, what do I do when I'm in a bad mood? I immediately look around and say what I'm grateful for. You're grateful for the fact I've got a ceiling fan. I'm grateful for the fact I have free dry erase boards. I'm grateful for the fact I have technology, Todd, and Carol. I'm grateful for the fact that I've got a nice space that keeps my water cold. I'm grateful for the fact that I've got nice pens and paper, right? We always look at things we don't have. Oh, if I had a bigger apartment. Oh, if I had a nicer car. If I had a better woman. If I had a cane station. Then I would be happy. But the truth is, there's I don't even know what the percentage anymore. Most people in this world would trade places with you and I right now.
Yeah.
Would kill to have our problem. Right? I was just watching here in Southern California. San Diego has an enormous home. And it's getting worse by the day. They're talking about people living in their vehicles.
Jeez.
So it's like, man, I'm fucking so grateful I have a home to live in. When we focus on what it is that we can do, when we focus on being a part of the solution, not kind of a problem, which is another question we can ask ourselves, is we can say, hey, Todd, am I being part of the solution or part of the problem right now?
Wow.
Hey, Sally, am I being part of the solution or part of the problem? And bitching and pissing and moaning doesn't count for being a part of the solution. And some people, I don't know what to do. I'm like, Google it. Like literally, ladies and gentlemen, I think all of us are walking up a supercomputer in our pocket.
Yeah.
The answers are all there. That's the thing that pisses me out, Todd, is people are like, I don't know how to eat. I just literally had somebody, no offense to that person for watching us or listening to us, and I had somebody, I'm not going to mention your name, but I told them it was pretty kind of not smart. They said, Chris, I don't know how to eat healthy. And I said, how do you suppose you could find out? I said, worst case scenario, you could do what I did. And I had to go to I had to take a bus to a library and check out a book back in my day to get an answer. So now he's going, I said, you can use Alexa. I use Alexa all the time. She's in my office, but it's called something different. So I'm using Alexa. I'm using YouTube. I'm using ChatGPT. I'm using Google. I am constantly looking for the answer.
We got lots of reasons.
Finances, how to improve my relationships, how to get better at work, how to become a better negotiator, how to make cold calls, how to get right. The answers are all there, but everybody's like, I just don't know what to do. It's like, no, you know what to do. You just don't want to do it. And you want somebody to come give you the magic pill or tell you it's going to be okay. When it's not. You have to make the sacrifice. The books that I'm about to share right now, they take, we can go to Barnes and Noble and read them for free. So, excuse me. A frog in my throat. We can have shit. I was just saying something. What was I saying?
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Magic of Thinking Big. Those are the ones that influenced my life when I was in my.
Oh yeah. Being able to, you can go to a library and check out a book. You can go on YouTube and probably listen to the book. You can get an Audible account and listen to the book. There's so many opportunities. Chris, I don't have time. I'm like, I listen to books on 2 times speed. So, I don't have time. I just put my earbuds in and I walk around the house, cleaning the house, the book, and take the dog for a walk, and the book. I drive or listen to the book. I haven't been as good about it probably in the last year because I think literally I personal developed myself out for my entire life. I still do it. Now I watch YouTube. Videos and watch podcasts, and I'm using ChatGPT. I was just watching a video the other day that like the 10 prompts to use in ChatGPT. So I'm constantly hungry and thirsty. The next thing, what do I need to do? How can I take action on it? How can I be proactive instead of reactive? Right? Or are we out as far as time? Because I know you got to get. So let's, so we talked about that. The other thing I want to share with you, are you familiar with diaphragmatic breathing or deep breathing?
Is it have to do with meditation or something like that, or
somewhat? But can I share an exercise with you or anybody else that for me changed a lot of how I deal with my anxiety and my nervousness and because I have ADHD. I'm crap. So I have ADHD. I'm hyperactive. I'm like I've lost track of thought twice or 3 times in this podcast already. So here's what I do. It's called 4-4-4 breathing, or I think it's called 4-4 breathing. So basically, here's what we do. Is ready?
Okay.
You're going to do it. So we're going to inhale for 4. We're going to hold for 4. And then we're going to exhale for 4. And then we're going to hold for 4. And we're going to just do that a couple of times. Ready? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale out of the mouth slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you just do that 4 times, I guarantee you pretty much you're stopping the insanity. You're doing a reset. You're taking some deep breath. You're getting some oxygen in your system.
Wow.
And then you can sit there and you can go, okay, I hit the reset button. I imagine a huge red reset in my button in my brain. And I like pushing it. And then it's like, I just do that. And then I pause and I'm like, okay, what's the next thing I could do by which doing so would be productive or not react?
Wow.
Or perhaps I need to go for a longer walk. Perhaps I need to take a step away from this. right? Because so oftentimes we want to solve it, we want to move to it right there, but you need to take a break and step back.
We need to clear our mind because so many people are go, 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 and it's not really good for you if you keep going and you're not giving it a bit of a rest properly.
Well, I learned that very well, Todd. I burned out my adrenal glands twice in my life. Oh, your adrenals were kind of what keep you going. Yeah, I fried my adrenal glands so bad. Right now I'm struggling with energy, which you wouldn't be able to tell, but actually I've become anemic, and I found out my red blood cells aren't carrying oxygen right now. So like I already feel like shit, but you could never tell because I'm already decided in my brain that I'm energetic. No, I'm not gonna let that happen.
You tricked your mind.
Right. So it's just really a matter of all of this is that we're going to choose to be the hero of our own journey. And there's a great video. I'll send you the link to it. I put it in the podcast a bunch of times, but it's called The Hero's Journey. It's the Joseph Campbell story. Remind me and I'll send it to you. It's about an hour and 13 minutes. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal for all of us to watch. I've seen it probably 5 times. That you understand the peaks and the valleys and the hills and God, man, I don't want to do it anymore, but I got to go back up the hill again. And it talks about that we all watch these movies, Star Wars, whatever it might be. There's the hero's journey. The young person sets off on the journey and they learn all these things. They go through all these adversarial events and we're all rooting for that person, right? Because that person's nice. That's why we root for those people in those movies. We want the person to find them. We want the person to get the job. We want the person to close the sale. We want the person to rise above whatever their parents set around there, right? That's us. So when we watch the hero's journey, that's what it starts to do. We're going on it. We're going to show these books. So anybody can re-watch, so re-listen to this, but these are book recommendations for you. I could shortly type them out and put them to you. But one of the first one people to read, and I just added this one. This one's David Goggins. This is a book called What Hurt Me. David Goggins, Goggins. Are you familiar with David Goggins?
A little bit. A friend of mine showed me that book, and then he was going to lend it to me, but we forgot.
Okay, well, we're not going to forget. This book in particular is all about resilience, all about
pushing beyond your boundaries, right?
100%.
Yeah.
This book, I read this book before I went for major back surgery in 2019.
Oh.
I read this book before I went to back surgery because I knew my back surgery was going to be bad. I had 6 rods and 6 screws and 3 rods in my back.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I had to read. It can't out me. Yeah. And this book is all about this guy doing shit that is super painful, super uncomfortable. As my own little side note, I don't aspire to be David Goggins, but there are aspects of his personality that I believe all of us can adapt to. So Can't Breathe by David Goggins. Wow. Phenomenal about resiliency, doing what you don't want to do, pushing through the pain. This book has changed my life. It's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying.
Oh, wow.
So this book is written by a hospice nurse. And if we don't know what a hospice nurse is, a hospice nurse is who sits with dying people to make sure they have their medications and make sure you take the sticky note off of there.
I had a friend I grew up with that had cancer that was in one of those. And I think we talked, we actually were doing a Facebook chat up until like 20 minutes until he passed. And
wow.
I was like, wow, that was huge.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that's what this book teaches you. It talks about the 5 regrets of the dying. The number one regret of the dying is that they didn't live the life they wanted to live. They lived the life they thought they were supposed to live. Yeah. So this book will shake you up to your lie. We were talking about lying. We were talking about leverage. We were talking, I got tomorrow. I got next year. This book paints an immediacy like no other. And it's pretty eye-opening. So top 5 regrets of the dying. Well, this book it's a little big, but this book is Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant with Giant.
Okay.
The back says, wake up and take control of your. The front says, how to take immediate control of your mental, emotional, and physical and financially destiny. I started reading this. Somebody really gave this book, and I started reading it at the gym one time, a bazillion years ago, and I stayed on the treadmill for an hour because I couldn't put it down.
Holy cow.
So it's a big book. But when I was thinking about you and thinking about the podcast and thinking about coaching, and this is what I do for my coaching clients also, if like they can't afford to work with me, I'm like, okay, get these books and do 3 strategies out of the books and you're going to be golden. So Awaken the Giant Within, powerful about mindset, about tenacity, about strategies, and all these different areas. Major book of your life. Another major book in my life, because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you without the books. This is a newer one in my arsenal, probably maybe 5 years. I got this during COVID. It's called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer.
I've heard of his name. Yeah.
Yeah, he has two books that really changed my life: The Surrender Experiment and The Untethered Soul. This book will help you. This book will help you with surrendering the crazy mind, the chaotic mind, the excuse mind. This tells us that we're not our mind, that we're the observer of our thoughts. This one, it came at the right time because I was going through a lot of uncertainty, and like logically I can figure things out, but this is more a spiritual journey and kind of like talks about who we are versus us as a person. So this one was really, really good for me. I go back to it frequently. This one and the Untethered Soul, they're both phenomenal books that really caused me to sit back and go, okay, I'm taking this way too. So this is phenomenal. So The Surrender Experiment. Here's the one I was talking about earlier. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh, I've heard that one. Yeah.
By Susan Jeffers. I have the companion book, which is also a workbook. This, when I read it, sometimes I mostly write. I usually write in the beginning of the book when I read. I read this dozens of times. It's yellow as hell. This book will change your mind about fear. And it talks about fear, like I quote unquote have a fear of flying, or like we tell ourselves, oh, I'm afraid to speak in public. Oh, I'm afraid of this. That negative self-talk reinforces our picture in our brain. Oh, that's right. We're afraid to speak in public. We don't speak in public. This talks about, it's just the fear of not being able to be in control. So like real fear of flying, what it really is a fear of not being in control. Like, so you just sit there and it talks about strategies of unwiring the fear. Phenomenal book. Feel free and Do It Anywhere. I'm sure it's a bestseller. I know a lot of people have referred to it. I've had tons and tons of people read this book alone and come back to me like, oh my God. So this one. And the last one's one of my all-time favorites. This one's called The Big Leap by a gentleman by the name of Gay Hendricks. The Big Leap talks about how we have our zone of greatness. We have our zone of excellence. We have our zone of what's the other one? Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a blank. Greatness, excellence, and the zone of genius. That's right. I'm listening and read this book probably 10. And most of the time we'll operate in greatness. And we think, oh, I'm great. I'm good. I'm good enough. Right? I'm good enough. Like, when is that? But this talks about the excuses, the ceilings that we place on ourselves. Like, what about zone of greatness? What about zone of excellence? Like, why can't we be excellent as her? And not only that, what's the next phase above that is the zone of genius. Like, what can we do where we could do it for hours and not even realize the time has gone by? So for me, it's like talking to people and coaching people. I could do that for hours. That's my zone of genius.
Yeah.
My zone of excellence was leaving and having a master's degree in organizational management, being a director of operations. That was in the corporate life. It was excellent. I was great operating, managing 50 people, 3 direct supervisors. Zone of excellence. I was really great at. But wasn't my zone of genius. And it talked about what we have are called upper limit problems. And so I was afraid. I was doing my coaching and everything on the side because I was fearful. Like, oh, what? I can't do my coaching until I make as much money as I can in the day job, which is ridiculous. You can't do that.
I think most people think that way.
Yeah. You have to jump. You have to take a risk. So this book taught me how to remove those barriers and to take those leaps. And I left my job in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, I probably got a link to this book. I don't know when it was written, was released, but I want to say probably maybe somewhere around 2016.
Wow. Okay.
So here we have 6 books, ladies and gentlemen. They're there on the screen. You guys can pick them out. These books, I would set myself a plan. If you're aggressive, you can do it in 6. But I would say, I would pick out those books where Well, those books, I would say like small months.
Okay.
And I would almost probably break up, let's see, I would say 1 or 2 books a quarter. And so like, out of all those books, what do you think would be the most advantageous for you, Todd, in order to achieve your goal of being married and having financial freedom? Which one do you think would really set you off to give you the greatest motivation, the greatest inspiration to overcome and to achieve?
I think awaken the giant within and feel the fear and do it anyway. And I know a little bit about the David Goggins because I had a friend that was into martial arts and stuff, and he was reading it, and he was talking about how you're working out and you think you've done all that you can, but actually you have another 30% left in the system in the reserve tank. And I'm like, what? That's insane, really? And I'm like, what if he's right? And so I think that would be a good book too. So those 3.
Okay. So here's your assignment, Todd. So you should choose to accept it, like the Mission Impossible was. But hey, this is your assignment, is you should choose to accept it. Get those books, take at least 3 strategies from each book, and then just apply them in your life.
3 strategies.
And the biggest thing I would also say is you have me as far as like my podcast and stuff like that, but I would definitely find someone in person, like that can be an accountability partner, that can be that person to sit there and say, okay, Todd, what are you going to do this week? I'm going to do these 3 things. Okay. Jerry, what are you going to do? Okay, Jerry, I'm going to do these 3 things. All right. What's going to be the potential obstacles or things that are going to stop you from doing it? Well, maybe this, maybe this, maybe that. Okay. How are you going to overcome those? Okay. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll meet you next week. Hey, Todd, did you get your 3 things done? No. Why? Well, they didn't have time. Okay. What did you do with your time? Right? You have somebody that holds you accountable and asks you those. That's what I do as a coach. So like if I was to give you the assignment and say, okay, say Todd, next week, is it achievable for you to get those 3 books?
Yes.
Okay. So get the 3 books. Is it realistic to start reading one of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I do is I get my coaching clients, I get people to make an agreement to say it out loud that they're making this commitment, this promise to themselves to do these 3 things. And then guess what? You go do those 3 things, you pick up the book, you pick up Awaken the Giant Within, and you're like, all right, man, I'm excited. And you get that far into it and you're like, holy shit. Awesome. All right. Cool. Oh my God.
And then you send them off to the torture chamber, right? No, it's kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there's stuff I've had. You can see how yellow.
Oh, wow.
You've read it a few times. Oh yeah. This one says how to break. Oh, funny. This is funny. How to break limiting patterns of feeling and acting.
Wow. That's powerful.
That was just the page I opened up to. It's about taking that imperfect action. It's about believing in yourself. It's about eliminating the negative self-talk. It's about looking at those excuses of being tired or having fear and not listening to people. It's about saying, okay, what is the one thing that I could do to have more energy? I can make sure I'm getting my exercise every day, getting a 20-minute brisk walk in the morning. I can make sure that I'm not feeding my body full of carbs and empty calories that will cause my blood sugar to spike. I can make sure I'm getting a good quality night's sleep. What is involved in that? I can Google that. I can chat GPT that. Maybe once a month, I'm going to implement a new sleep strategy so I can get better sleep, so I can wake up feeling more refreshed. I'm going to do some midday meditations. Like, what are the things that I can do to stop from me having the opportunity to say, well, I'm tired. I'm tired or I'm tired, but I still want to do this. Like I tell people, like for me, I do this. Like I'll say, oh, I'm feeling stressed. Or no, I'll say I am stressed or I'm exhausted. I found myself when I said this, I'm exhausted. I'm like, Chris, you're not exhausted. You're tired, but you're not exhausted. Like, come on, dude. Like, be careful the words that we use. That's a big thing I do.
Sometimes more on the tank.
Yeah, it's like, David Goggins. What would David Goggins do? Like, we put ourselves in that person's mindset, right? I'm trying to give you a lot. Like, if you put yourself in David Goggins' mindset, like when I did my surgery, I'm like, what would David Goggins do right? Like, when they came and told me I had to stand up after my surgery, they said I had to walk. I said, fucking crazy. I could barely move my back, dude. This, ouch, was excruciating. They came and said, Mr. Rausch, we're going to take you for a walk. I'm like, there's no way.
Oh my God.
Then I thought, would David Goggins say no way? Or would David put his fucking foot over the bed?
Yeah.
Guess what I did, bro?
You did it.
Hooked up to an IV thing in excruciating pain. I said, is this safe? I said, yeah, it's fully safe. I said, so no matter what I feel, it's okay. I said, yeah, it's okay. And I just fucking David Goggins.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Wow.
You Tony Robbins the shit. You Christopher Rausch the shit. Like, for you, if you dig what I'm saying, if you're in that moment, you're like, what would Chris say?
Yeah.
Right? I do that for myself. I have two people in my life that are amazing mentors. They're no longer with me, but I can see this and I can hear them, right? And so I'm like, hey, what would Bill tell me? Bill's a dude from Buffett. I actually have this quote tattooed on my arm. What would Bill do? Bill told me, he said, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. That's what he told me. 17-year-old kid. He said, Chris, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. So if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard
Which is a quote from Henry Ford. I like quotes. Ford says, when you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. So has this provided you value, Mr. Todd?
Oh man, immensely. Like I think that like part of me is tired, but it's almost like I'm it's transformative. Like I'm so upbeat and I'm so like energized right now. I almost feel like a robot. But
I have given you this. I've given you a lot. I have given you a lot, and I know you need to run because you said you needed to be off here by I think 12:30 your time. Do you need to split? Because I know you have to go to your work.
I can take 2 more minutes. It's okay. I can.
Okay. Well, here's what I could do. I'm actually gonna finish out the show. But the one thing I wanted to do is give people an opportunity if they wanted to connect with you. I've got your I hear something. Hold on. I got your email up here. You want to tell everybody on the podcast what your email is?
Yeah, it's Todd ZS TODDZS at yahoo.com.
And then also
people can reach me there or contact me 604-316-8109.
Cool. I will for those of you guys listening on the podcast and you're driving probably, I will post this information inside the podcast information, so you just can scroll down and you guys can find it and connect with Todd. Todd, thank you so much for your vulnerability, for your tenacity, for your honesty, your bravery, for everything in this conversation tonight. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that your story, your journey has inspired so many people to be that are getting inspired as you. Like, man, if Todd could fucking go on this podcast and get coached, if he could do that, if he can get these books, if he can have that financial freedom and marry the love of his life and make the impact in the world, I can do it too. So, brother, I appreciate you. Sorry, I'm gonna put you backstage. If you need to jet, we can chat on Facebook message, no problem. But I'm just gonna go ahead and finish out the show. But I know you need to jet, so I'm gonna place you backstage. If you need to jet, no problem. And if not, I'll be there in just a few minutes.
All right. God bless. Thanks for everything, Chris. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Mr. Todd. Thank you. I'm just gonna end out the show.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
And there you have it, boys and girls, my rock stars of the Kick-Ass Nation. And we went a little bit over time, 23 minutes over time. I apologize. But here's the thing I want you to be able to do. I really want this conversation to inspire you. I want this conversation to inspire Todd. I want this conversation to inspire me, right? What else do we have in our reserves? Like, what else can we do? That power to sit there and say, you know what? I'm not doing my best. I'm not giving it everything I've got. I surrounded myself with people who are naysayers. Like, you know what Todd talked about? He talked about the fact that people not listening to people. Right? If you got those negative Nellies in your life, sit there and think, hey, why does that phrase, misery loves company? Why is that so important? And why would that person tell me not to follow my dreams? Maybe because they're not following their dreams. So yeah, it's super, super critical that the people you're taking advice from in your life have done or are doing things you want to do. Like, I see so many people out there saying they're professional speaker coaches. Oh, I could get you on stages. I could do this. And I'll go through their Facebook profile. I'll go through their Instagram profile. And there is nowhere of them doing a recent conversation, a recent talk, a recent speech. I go to their website. They sell speaking coaching services, but they don't have anything on there where they're speaking. And I'm like, oh, maybe they did a speaking thing once upon a time. But you want people who are doing it currently. Like now the professional speaking landscape has completely changed. I'm not going to have somebody who was a speaker in the 80s. I mean, they still had the functional wherewithal by all means. But if they say they're going to get you on stages, the stages have changed. So you want people in your life who are doing the thing that you want to do. And if they're not necessarily in your life, like for me, if I wanted to be the lead singer of a rock band, I would aspire to be Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. So I may not be able to have access to Dave, but I can read his book, which I have because his book is the one that my cover is over and there's Dave Grohl on the back. So I've read Dave Grohl's book, right? So act as if. So if I want to be the leader of an organization, who is somebody who I respect as a leader of organization? Who is that person? How can I get them in my brain? Right? I just sat there and I put David Goggins on my brain. I never met the guy. I've read his books. I've read 2 of his books. I've watched many of his interviews. So I've got his mind, his voice in my brain. So I can actually sit there and use him to say, hey, Rausch, what are you doing? Right? And so you act as if like, oh, will David Goggins be proud of me right now? Am I David Goggins doing that shit? Am I Rausching that shit? Am I unstopping? Whatever it might be. There's no excuse for where you're at. Right? There may be situations that have happened that have put you where you're at, but now you're listening to my voice and now you have an opportunity to change that. Right? Get these books. Make a point to get these books. Don't just listen to this and go, yeah. And even if you read one of them, or even if you heard that one of them was bad, I'm telling you, these books are great. So you take 3 strategies out of these books, you take the next 12 months and you say, hey man, I'm going to go on this journey. I'm going to get right about my physical health. I'm going to get right about my spiritual health. I'm going to get right about my mental health. I'm going to stop tolerating shit that's weighing me down. I'm going to start doing stuff that's different to get different actions and results. You can do it. And all this to say, if you're interested in having a coaching session with me, if you made it to the end of this and you want a coaching session just like I gave Todd, if you're interested in doing it on the show, that's awesome. Thank you very much. That's a bonus. But if you want a complimentary coaching session with me in private, hit me up. I'll leave it to you to find out to hit me up. But you find Christopher Rausch and you let me know, hey, I heard you talk on your podcast about giving a free coaching session. I'd love to have one like you gave Todd. It's not going to be an hour and 23 minutes, but I promise you it'll be transformative for you. So now what are you going to do? And then I also have a group coaching program that is $50 a month. $50 a month. We meet twice a month. You have an accountability partner. We have a private Facebook group page. You get me teaching you twice a month. You get exercises. You get accountability partners. It's mind-blowing. There's not more people taking advantage of this program. Normally to work with me, it's a lot of money. But this group program, I make it super, super affordable, ridiculously affordable. So there you have it. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back here next week again on the Raw Unscripted show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the video cast. So if you dig watching YouTube podcasts like I do, I watch my podcast. I watch 2-hour podcasts. I may break them up over a couple of days, but I like to watch them. So if you want to be here and can come with us, you can ask questions during the live broadcast. We didn't do that today because we're doing a coaching session, but you can ask questions during the broadcast. And we've been here for 318 shows. So feel free to go to rawunscripted.com, go wherever you get your podcast and take me along with you like Todd is. And let's continue to make this world a best place for ourselves and everybody else that is in it. Stay inspired, stay kick-ass unstoppable. We'll hear next week. Love you guys. Thank you for staying in and staying tuned.